Ethan Caldwell was a man who had everything, or so the world thought. Towering skyscrapers bore his name, luxury cars lined his private garage, and the finest restaurants competed for his patronage. Yet, beneath the glossy veneer of wealth, Ethan's heart had grown cold. He believed that power and money could shield him from any vulnerability, including the delicate threads of human connection. He rarely thought of the people who worked in his sprawling mansion. But among them, Clara stood out, not for her appearance, but for her gentle nature and unwavering kindness. A maid who had served his family for years, she was a quiet presence, always tending to his needs without complaint, her eyes carrying a softness that made her seem almost ethereal in contrast to his hard, calculating world. One rainy evening, their lives collided in a way Ethan could never have anticipated. What started as a fleeting lapse of judgment, a night of passion fueled by loneliness and recklessness, left Clara with something far more permanent, a child growing inside her. When the truth came to light, Ethan recoiled. His first thought was shame, followed swiftly by denial. "It's not my problem," he muttered, turning his back on Clara, leaving her to face the consequences alone. Clara was devastated. She had trusted him, confided in him, even hoped for a shred of compassion, but the man she had quietly admired now seemed like a stranger. Yet, she resolved to carry the child, to give it life and love that she might never have received from Ethan. In the months that followed, she became a fortress of strength, enduring whispers from neighbors, the sting of judgment, and the lonely nights of preparation for a life she would face mostly alone. The day the baby was born, Clara's heart swelled with a mix of exhaustion, fear, and joy. She named the child Noah. Tiny and delicate, with skin like warm honey and eyes that mirrored the deep blue of a summer sky, Noah was an embodiment of innocence and hope. Clara cradled him, whispering promises of love and protection, even as the shadows of Ethan's rejection loomed over her small, humble home. Ethan, meanwhile, had thrown himself into work, trying to bury the growing unease in the endless hum of business deals and contracts. But no amount of wealth or success could mask the gnawing feeling that something in his life was irrevocably missing. Nights grew restless, even the clink of crystal glasses in his penthouse couldn't drown out the echo of a life he had turned away from. It was on a crisp autumn morning that fate intervened. Ethan received a letter, simple and unadorned, with a child's drawing tucked inside, a small stick figure holding hands with another figure beneath a bright sun, both smiling. He recognized the handwriting immediately. Clara's. And the drawing, it was of Noah. Something shifted in him, a pang of guilt, a flicker of longing, and an undeniable recognition of what he had forsaken. Against his instincts, Ethan visited Clara's modest home. He told himself it was curiosity, perhaps a fleeting concern. But the moment the door opened, and Noah's deep blue eyes met his own, Ethan felt a rush of emotions he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. The baby's gaze was penetrating, innocent yet oddly knowing, as if he could see directly into the parts of Ethan that had been locked away. Clara, wary and guarded, watched silently as Ethan fumbled for words. He tried to apologize, but words felt hollow, inadequate in the presence of a life that had been irrevocably affected by his choices. Noah, sensing the tension, reached out with tiny hands, grabbing Ethan's finger with an instinctive trust that cut through the walls Ethan had built. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan began to return, hesitantly at first. He brought small gifts, then books, then toys, gradually earning the right to sit in the nursery while Clara rested. He listened, truly listened, to the stories Clara told him of late-night feedings, of Noah's first steps, of the small victories and daily struggles of motherhood. And with each story, a layer of ice melted from Ethan's heart. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow through the small living room, Noah crawled into Ethan's lap. The baby cooed, a sound so pure that it seemed to cleanse the air of bitterness. Ethan held him close, rocking him gently, and whispered, "I am so sorry, for everything." For the first time, words were not enough, but the embrace conveyed what words could not: regret, love, and the beginning of redemption. Clara watched quietly, the tension in her shoulders easing. She saw a man transformed not by wealth or status, but by the undeniable power of innocence and vulnerability. Ethan had no title here, no money to assert, only a father trying to make amends. And slowly, the walls between them began to crumble. Over the following months, Ethan's transformation became more profound. He sold a portion of his business to fund a small scholarship program for underprivileged children. He volunteered at local community centers, driven by a new understanding of empathy. But the most profound change was within his own home, where he learned patience, humility, and the boundless joy of raising Noah alongside Clara. There were moments of tension, certainly, misunderstandings, lingering guilt, the scars of the past, but the love between Ethan, Clara, and Noah grew resilient, a testament to the human capacity for change. Noah thrived, his laughter filling rooms that had once been silent and cold, his bright eyes a constant reminder of the miracles born from unexpected circumstances. The turning point came one chilly winter morning. Noah, now toddling with unsteady steps, reached out for Ethan's hand, tugging him toward the window. Outside, a neighborhood child had fallen in the snow, crying in distress. Without hesitation, Ethan scooped up the child, bringing him inside, wrapping him in warmth. Clara watched, tears glistening in her eyes, as Ethan comforted the child with the same care and tenderness he had shown Noah. In that moment, she realized that redemption wasn't a single act, it was a life lived with compassion, a heart finally awakened. Years later, Ethan would look back on that tumultuous chapter of his life and marvel at the transformation. A man who once rejected his own flesh and blood had become a father who would move mountains for the sake of love. The mansion still stood, but the cold walls had been replaced by laughter and warmth. Wealth had lost its power to define him, kindness, responsibility, and the courage to face his mistakes had become his true legacy. The story of Ethan, Clara, and Noah spread quietly through their community. It became a tale not of scandal, but of hope, a reminder that no matter how far one has strayed, it is never too late to return, to embrace responsibility, and to allow love to guide the way. Children who had once been mere figures in passing glimpses of a millionaire's life now saw him as a symbol of redemption and humanity. In the end, the lesson was simple yet profound. A single life, a single innocent gaze, can awaken the dormant capacity for love and transformation in even the hardest of hearts. For Ethan, it was Noah's eyes, their unspoken wisdom, their pure trust, that shattered the walls he had built and revealed the man he was always capable of becoming. And as the family sat together, Noah giggling on Ethan's lap, Clara resting against him, the golden afternoon sun spilling through the window, one truth remained undeniable. Love, even born from mistakes, has the power to heal, to inspire, and to create a legacy far greater than wealth ever could.